Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're all doing well, and welcome to the showdown between the Empire and the Vampire counts here on Crystal Lake. It's going to be myself with the Master Engineer facing off against Tom, who's going to be rocking Manfred von Baldstein, actually on foot, looking to mitigate my focus fire and really grind out those points. So for my army, it is going to be a Vanguard here, Pistoliers, which are very good against vampires. Their damage will be pretty good against things like Cryptors, they're good against Felbats and the dog units. Obviously, if they get caught by any of those units, they're going to have a bad time. But overall, they give you a lot of utility, and in domination mode are going to be very important for running up and grabbing the points. In the backfield here, it is going to be a steam tank, so we do have the Master Engineer. I don't know if he's the best choice in this matchup. Honestly, I think like a Karl Franz or a Boris might be better for removing White Kings and characters like that, but the steam tank still is a cannon and pretty disruptive in melee, so we are going to be rocking that. Now in the front, it's going to be Spearmen, and we do have the big scary ROR wagon here, which is going to be the Black Lions. Now this thing is the Terminator of the Vampire counts. If this thing is left to its own devices, it's like your whole game plan. If you protect the Black Lions, it can mow down most of the Vampire count roster pretty effectively and really cause a ton of havoc. So we are going to be using the Black Lions here. And I think aside from that, we do have a Life Caster in the back to keep the Steam Tank Commander alive, and that is going to be it for my build. Now for the Vampire counts of Tom, it's going to be a very wide build looking to just swarm the objectives. So skeletons, zombies, double White Kings with Scab's Grace are super good. Manfred von Baldstein with Spirit Leech Spam and Invocation on foot, and two Black Knights up in the trees. So it looks like he's preparing an ambush, right? What he's probably going to do is make it look like Objective 1 is free and then just pounce on me if I decide to go over there. So that's a very good tactic for sure. So we'll do some fast forwarding while the battle gets underway. So I do manage to grab 2 points out of the gates here, but now the Black Lions are going to be teeing off so we can see what kind of demolish they're going to do. Shooting into the White Kings on foot will be tricky at this range. If it were like a closer range, I could probably make contact, but as it currently stands, it's going to be hard. And the cannon's also shooting from the steam tank. So trying to cheese his characters a little bit here, while the Pistoliers poke the characters, poke Manfred, able to get some HP off him. And Objective 3 most likely will be ours. Skeletons, no zombies here, are expendable, so I should have an advantage. Call-in is going to be Knights of the Blazing Sun. They are your go-to in this matchup. Knights of the Blazing Sun are amazing. Really good. They wreck Cryptors. They trade really well into the infantry and also are excellent against the skirmisher units like the bats and the dogs. Lance's couch for Meridia here as they move in and do plow through those skeletons with the Sigmarite infantry filing in behind them. And get a big amount of burst damage on the skeleton warriors there. So it's a good start for us. In the meantime, Pistoliers just doing a little bit of skirmishing and harrying. Black Knight's going to be camping up in the trees, so my opponent's setting up a nice ambush there. So sneaky hobbitses while he does park some Felbats in the back. This is kind of annoying for me because it means I can't call in artillery. And if I call in missile units on their own, then they're going to get punished. So a very interesting tactic there, which again is quite disruptive. So we do have the Black Lions getting some nice firepower in. Unfortunately, just mainly shooting skeletons and, advancing chaff units at this point. He's really not presenting me with too many good targets, but hopefully they'll be able to wreck the Dire Pack back here, and they do. It's a Hellblaster volley gun. I think it's actually a little bit more than one Hellblaster because the Hellblaster has 3 and these have 4, so it's a little bit more than one Hellblaster, but again, you're paying like 700 gold more, but you also get the mobility, which is nice. Grenade launcher is called in, so you can see I have a very defensive formation, kind of a wall of state troopers, a bit of a semicircle. Behind it, I have grenades and heavy cav defending said grenades. Manfred here going to be doing some witchcraft, or is that my pigeon bombs? I believe it's going to be the pigeon bombs coming in from the steam tank. So let's zoom in on the fight, the classic undead versus Empire fight. Very fun stuff. And it does nuke a couple of the Empire troopers, but most of the damage does go on the undead there, although I don't know. Oh, that was a Scab's Grace. Okay, that's why my troops took so much damage. He used a Scab's Grace from the White Kings. Very brutal ability. So zombies summoned to the secondary line to disrupt my shooting, but the Free Company militia were on reserve. The whistles are calling them forward, and they are going to be getting their sabers and their cutlasses and Sparta kicking some of the zombies. In the meantime, I'm going to make a play for Objective 1, and, I fell for his trap. This was so weird, though. I was like, we were 3 or 4 minutes into the game, and these Black Knights were waiting there the entire time, not committing to the fight. That is some serious patience that I was not expecting. So I ended up moving on the point, thinking it's going to be an okay situation. I was like, if it doesn't work out, I can run back towards my spawn. But he gets a beautiful ambush on me here, and the Black Knights emerge from the trees. The tactical undead, of course, Manfred is the one guiding their will here, as many of the Pistoliers are going to die here. More or less, I'm going to lose those squads like horribly, right? There's so many of them trapped. The Felbats are going to be swarming them, so that's not a good situation for me. Here we do see some sort of witchcraft going down. It's going to be a zombie summon on top of the grenade launchers. That feels bad. Manfred able to get the job done. Poor positioning on my part. Granted, I was nuking some infantry down there, but with Manfred on foot, I shouldn't be getting caught in such situations. Spearmen holding, and they will be able to beat skeleton spears, while we do get some Knights of the Blazing Sun around the backside of the army, looking to collapse this formation. Value trading is pretty even, which is okay considering I am healing too. I do have my Life Wizard back here who's been dropping Earthbloods pretty constantly and providing good utility. So now calling in one of the best units on the roster, it's going to be the Demogryph Knight RORs, the Royal Altdorf Gryphites, looking super awesome. And the Gryphites are going to be moving up and should be able to put some huge hurt on most of his army. Crypt Horrors and Black Knights are very, very ideal targets here. So I do think about charging in here, but at the end of the day, it's risky because Manfred is nearby, the White Kings are nearby, he's got Skeleton Spear support. So I decided to withdraw and pull back and try and take a more tactical fight. Black Lion still shooting away, able to rip some shots into the Crypt Horrors up here and doing some great work. Meanwhile, on this point, the big scary Knights of the Blazing Sun get a brutal rear charge into those Skeleton Spearmen. But now comes the counter charge from my opponent. Knights of the Blazing Sun going to be trying to retreat through the spears, which is certainly what they want to be doing. Don't want to get embroiled and full-on head-on charge. And they do get back into the spear support, so not going to be terrible. Now, Manfred moving into my secondary here. This is a risky play for my opponent. It does put him in the open of the kill zone of the Black Lions. At close range here, it's going to be really brutal. So now the Black Lions are going to be lining up their shots, shooting into the Black Knights here. And hopefully we will be able to put them down. While the Demogryph Knight RORs also rolling up, Knights of the Blazing Sun, helping clear some of the zombie units. And here comes the big charge from the Gryphites, liberating the trapped State Troopers. You gotta love it. And those Royal Altdorf Gryphites, those birds are going to be ripping apart these Black Knights pretty damn hard. As you can see, their HP is going to be diminishing pretty heavily. Grenades providing supporting fire from the second rank. And Manfred von Baldstein just dropping some Spirit Leeches, if I'm not mistaken. That's what he's been doing most of the game. Tank Commander also going to be rolling in to help. So Collins for myself, we are going to be calling in Flagellants and Flagellants. They're very good in this matchup. They do lose pretty bad to Graveguard, but against the rest of the roster, they tend to perform okay. Black Lions here do get a little bit trapped up. The Fellbats are able to Zerg them, so they're not taking too much damage. You know, they do have 80 armor, and Fellbats are pretty wimpy in melee. And Flagellants going to get their clubs out, try and take down some of the Fellbats. They have good DPS. Flagellants do have 37 weapon strength, so with the Frenzy and whatnot, they can bash these guys down, but it's going to take a little while. Another Pigeon Bomb's going to be activated. The pit fight's still going, and is going well for us. The Steam Tank Commander, the Spears, the Demogryph Knights were able to wreck the Black Knights there, at least one unit. I think the other one is still online. In the meantime, Knights of the Blazing Sun going to be intercepting the Direwolves, and in the backfield, we are going to be more or less stable, as we do get some Free Company Militia rallying in the back, and they are going to be able to push back the Fellbats and then get the Black Lions back online once again. So 900 value so far. Nothing too crazy, but there's a lot of game left to fight. And currently, as it stands, I'm behind. 3.7 against 4.6. The Vampire counts are in a winning position right now. It's a fight that's very desperate. You know, I'm on the back foot here. Certainly is not easy. So Demogryph's cleaning up shop, though, getting a lot of picks. Also, something that isn't factored into the value meter is the fact that the undead do crumble. So all this crumbling damage you're seeing isn't going to be factored in. So with that being said, it's probably a closer game than one would think. So these doggos going to be crumbling down. Grenade launchers moving up to try and nuke some of these, as the Steam Tank Commander going to be pulling back. Only haven't gotten 300 value. So Steam Tanks have been nerfed a bit, but they're still extremely good. But, you know, against his build, he's got foot characters and he's got so much mass with the Crypt Horrors that it is having a little bit of trouble. Granted, if I just left it back like a cannon and had it shoot, it might be a little bit more effective. So right now I'm triple capped, guys. Very dodgy, but Sigmar's got tactics here. The Black Lions are going to be zeroing in on Manfred here, so they do start going after Manfred. Also, I do have Free Company Militia shooting him here. So the Hellblaster volley guns are going to be teeing off on this Haggard Vampire Lord here in a moment. And you're going to see the first volley coming out, and here it comes. Manfred taking a ton of damage. You can see his HP is going to be dropping very quickly, and the Fury of Sigmar is on full display, as the Black Lions, in an act of desperation, unleashing their ammunition on Manfred. He's got 1,700 HP here. He's in the open field. There's nowhere to run. There's no zombies to hide amongst because he's chasing down these Flagellants here, and that is going to give us a little something to work with. On the middle point, it's also going well for us. We do have Knights of the Blazing Sun and Flagellants having arrived, so we recapture that. While on the high ground, another campaign effort by the forces of, is this Hockland? I think it is. Moving up, Knights of the Blazing Sun should be able to honestly take these Skeleton Warriors, but with Free Company Militia backing up and grenades, it's going to be an even easier fight. So we start to take over the game a little bit as Manfred gets popped in the face by the Black Lions there. Flagellant's going to be cruising, and now the leadership of the zombies is going to be heavily diminished. -16, that is going to hurt pretty damn bad right there. Black Lions also shooting into the advancing Black Knights. Should do a lot. The Hellblaster volley guns have always been really good against cav units, so this is going to be an example of where we can get some work done. And you can see some of them getting shot down. Truly a Last Samurai moment. Now we're going to have to retreat to the back of the map here, otherwise the Black Knights will get some work done. So in the middle, we're in a pretty good victory. The Crypt Horrors, very low leadership after all is said and done. Flagellants do okay against Crypt Horrors. It's not great, but they do hit hard enough to, you know, get through their very light armor. And the Steam Tank Commander is also going to be helping out a little bit in combat as well. We do see a horde of undead advancing, so the reinforcements have been summoned from the grave, and the Knights of the Blazing Sun will valiantly intercept and plow down these zombies and skeletons, and now we're going to be pulling back after having a successful charge into those skeletons. We're also going to be trying to intercept these direwolves here. Fellbats being called to chase down grenade launchers. In the middle, we're looking quite good. Also have an opportunity here on the low ground as the Flagellants will get through the tithe. It's going to take some time, but they will get there, and they will have more capture weight, of course, than the zombies. So we're in a winning position now. The game, you know, with the attack on Manfred, being able to take him down, the momentum has shifted a little bit here in this game. So Outriders with grenade launchers being supported by the Black Knights here. Or excuse me, I guess they're wearing black armor, but Knights of the Blazing Sun, so they'll chase them down. Free Company Militia are probably good enough to fight off skeletons and zombies. Their stat line's okay. It's 28, 25, 25, or 28, 25, 28. So I'm hoping that they'll be able to hold this inexorable tide coming in. But with grenade launchers and pistoliers being called back in, we should be able to maintain the capture weight. Still a scary game, right? Still has a lot of capture weight. The Black Knights were eviscerated once again by the Black Lions, who have been such a hard carry here. They're up to 3,200 value, and they still have a lot more life to give. And one of the reasons why I went with the Master Engineer as opposed to like a Franz or a Boris, both of which would have been probably more effective at honestly killing Manfred on foot, it's because I wanted to replenish the ammo. So the Master Engineer does have the ammo replenishment, the restock. So I can restock the ammo on these wagons, which is very fun. So Flagellants clear out the tide down there. In the middle, we have a big old pit fight. Demogryph Knight RORs doing the work. They're a very good unit with their glorious charge. They can do brutal damage against pretty much everything. And yeah, they will, kind of like a hard counter against Scriptors, because Scriptors can also give it back to them a little bit, but they definitely counter them to an extent. So there we are able to get the crumble. Cryptor is now going to be rotating to the high ground point, so they're heading over here towards Objective 1 while grenade launchers are being called out and more spears for Sigmar. Free Company Militia being overwhelmed by the Walking Dead, and we do also have a call-in of the Stearnsmen. So Stearnsmen have always been very hard for the Empire to kill. The Black Lions are a great candidate for taking those bad boys down, but overall the Sons of Sigmar here going to be in a hard fight versus the waves of undead. In the backfield, grenade launchers, though, still shooting away. Pistoliers, just using them as a rotation tool, so wherever I need capture weight to make sure I don't lose the objectives, they're coming. Massive grenade salvos into the face of the spearmen here, and these White Kings are pretty much impossible for me to kill. I mean, I could, but I don't have good tools. I would have to catch them in open field with the Black Lions in a similar fashion I did in Manfred. Flagellants and Spearmen holding that low ground objective, and now we're getting to the point where we may get past our opponent. We comfortably win on 2 points here, so I was like, okay, yielding this objective for now, because we are getting a lot of value on these guys. Although Tom is still ahead of me in value, but with crumbling and healing, and I think we're actually ahead, pretty well at this point. Tank Commander cackling it up, being a damage sponge if anything. So at the very least, the Tank Commander with its massive armor and big HP pool is very, very tough to kill. Probably not going to pay for itself this game, only 1,100 value, but hopefully the restock will be able to come into play as the Pistolier Corps overrun some of these skeletons. Hopefully we'll be able to get them to crumble down right now. And Spirit Leech is going down to the Jade Wizard. Not a bad idea for sure. At this point in the game, the Spirit Leeches would probably be better suited somewhere else. But, this is something that he can feasibly kill and get off the battlefield, so I completely understand the rationale for that. Silver Bullets are called up. They're going to be putting some hurt down on the Cryptors. Meanwhile, Objective 2 is still under our control, and it's looking very, very tough for the Vampire counts at this point, as the grenade launchers and pistoliers just rotate about and pick off whatever they can. All these Cryptors are just on death's bed. Free Company, or the Silver Bullets, unfortunately marched up a little bit close. I was spaced out microing my cab elsewhere, and I was like, oh, hold on a second. These guys got to run back. But you can see they're all crumbling. And the Black Lions are shooting them point blank, getting a lot of value, probably close to 4,000, 3.3 at this point. And what's really nice is you can see the restock is down, so we're going to get so much more value than you normally would from these Black Line units. In the backfield, Free Company ripping good shots. Manfred is back. He's a vampire, so it makes sense. If it makes sense for anybody to come back to life in domination mode, lore-wise, it definitely is a vampire. So the vampire has been reanimated. He has returned. Here go the Fellbats, getting a good dive on my Pistoliers. A little bit unfortunate for me. But overall, the Vampires are just going to have too much problem probably getting points back here. We do see Objective 1 is owned by Vampires, I guess, and I guess 2 is in flux as well. But it's only a matter of time before we knock them off this high ground point. Now the Black Lions are going to be annihilating the Stearnsmen. We do also have the Silver Bullets getting ready to get in position on the objective and shoot these guys off. Hellblaster Volley Gun's just a brutal piece. I think they're really tough to protect, though, in domination. Land Battle... lately, man, I've just been trying to play Empire a lot competitively lately and using cannons and artillery. It just feels so bad. Cannons just feel like they miss nonstop. The Black Lions mitigate the one big weakness of artillery too, which is just being compromised by mobility and Fellbats and dogs and things like that. So, yeah, that's the tricky part, right? If you want to defend a cannon as the Empire against a faction that flies, you have to allocate an Empire Knight back there, which usually costs twice as much as that flying unit. So it's a very inefficient trade at the end of the day. Good last samurai here. Stearnsman going to be charging through, being run over by the spokes of Sigmar. This one gunner, he didn't hear no bell. He advances up while the powder certainly is dry here as they rip big shots in. Stearnsman going to be crumbling. -22 as the tank runs them over. This is the power of modern technology versus Unga Bunga technology here. But Objective 1 is going to be flipping to the Empire, as we do have still a close score game. A lot of undead waddling in here, but really, there's just not going to be enough time. We have the Demogryph Knight RWARs here, which are almost full health, 28 of 32 models. We also have the grenade launchers, which are going to be able to easily farm those, and the value lead is really showing here, despite it not being reflected. So from here, it's basically going to be GG. The Sternsmen are out of commission. We just have heavy cav all over the battlefield, and these like split pushes of the undead are just going to be run down by most of the cav units. So really, really fun match, honestly. Empire versus Vampire Counts has always been a certified classic. It's very much a matchup of who can play the objectives, or can the Vampire Counts hold the objectives long enough to win on points? Typically, the Empire will outvalue and trade better. But, you know, this game was a little bit dodgy. We do get a huge cav charge down here, by the way. And the Knights of the Blazing Sun and the Demogryphs getting a big flank there, which was able to break the back of the undead. But, yeah, so vampires do struggle to value trade here. It can be done. It can be done for sure. This game was a close example of that because he got that good ambush on me in the beginning, which took away my mobile agency. So that was very, very painful. But hopefully you guys enjoyed that one. Certainly a fun match. Well played to Tom. Had me sweating bullets in the beginning when he caught my unit. So tank commanders, it's fine. I don't think they're OP anymore. And the Black Lion's a 4,600 on that guy. Man, absolute hard carry piece. Demogryphs, 3,100 on the Demi RORs. Makes sense. They were just feasting on big targets like Black Knights and Crypt Horrors. And the Knights of the Blazing Sun also did pretty good too. For his build, Manfred, you know, if like, here's the thing, guys. If Manfred doesn't get sniped and he's more cautious and maybe keeps it with zombies, he might have won the game. Honestly, if Manfred did not die that first time around, I could have 100% lost that game. So that was a really, really well-played match by him. Just one little mistake cost him there. So, GG. See you guys around. That's going to be it for tonight, and Sigmar bless.